Hello and welcome to Ed Table Talk Unplugged, a show produced by the Communications section of the Ministry of Education and Technical and Vocational Training, where we delve into issues surrounding education, featuring numerous stakeholders. Today's topic of discussion is students' mental health. We find this topic most relevant, especially as we continue to grapple with a series of unprecedented economic and social challenges. As adults, we often underestimate the toll that mental stress takes on young students. We've seen an uptick on children and youth committing suicide or undergoing serious mental challenges due to circumstances which for them is overwhelming. Mental strain can have an adverse effect on students' academic performance, and many times these situations go unattended for whatever reason. Joining us to dissect this issue are the professionals, school psychologists Raquel Hutchinson, Joelle Taylor, and Miss Antoinette Deveaux. Later, we will be joined by a high school teacher, Rujean Hart, to share her views and experiences with such issues within the classroom. But before we go any further, our Lisa Bullard gives us some facts on this issue of mental health to set the stage for our discussion. Lisa?
Thank you, Adama. Half of all mental health conditions start by age 14, but most cases are undetected and untreated. Globally, depression is one of the leading causes of illness and disability among adolescents, according to the World Health Organization. The COVID-19 global pandemic has given rise to mental health issues in adolescents the world over. Students, educators, and parents alike have been met with such challenges as schools being closed, navigating virtual learning platforms, physical distancing, and isolation. Children already coping with mental health conditions have been especially vulnerable to these changes. The consequences of not addressing adolescent mental health conditions extend to adulthood, impairing both physical and mental health, and limiting opportunities to lead fulfilling lives as adults. If you or anyone you know is suffering from mental health issues, please contact the Sandilands Rehabilitation Center, the Bahamas' national resource for psychiatric care. For Ed Factoids, I'm Lisa Bullard.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And now into the discussion, ladies. It's a pleasure to have you join this conversation today on this very relevant issue, timely topic, the mental health of our students. First, let's get right into it. Let's look at your role as school psychologist. What is your role?
Okay, our role as school psychologists is to lend support so that children can learn while teachers teach. We apply our knowledge of psychology and into the training of into the educational system, as well as the child development. We also work along with the home and school and other mental professionals in the field, so that students can succeed actually. Let's look at it that way. They can succeed in school, whether it's academically, whether it's socially, emotionally, whether it is behaviorally, so that they can feel safe, and that also in helping them to create that safe, healthy learning environment. We do consultation services with the school guidance counselors or school counselors. We also do consultation with other professionals in the mental health field. We do consultation with parents and administrators, and also persons within the community that we can lend our support, whether it's through seminars, training. The bulk of our work, our role actually, is to conduct assessment for students, for whether it's behavioral or academic, and we also do the training part, like I said, with persons in the wider community and within the schools.
Okay, so you're pretty busy. Now, when we hear the term mental illness, I think there is a stigma on that. When we hear mental illness, can one of you define mental illness for us?
Yes. So when we look at mental illness is more of a health concern, and it's a health concern that impacts or affects us more so much on the emotional, cognitive, and the behavioral level. So it really dives into like psychological and behavioral well-being of persons or children. So it more so much looks at, my thoughts, how are my thoughts affecting my emotions, and how are my emotions then affecting my behavior. So it really looks at it from a holistic perspective, if you would say that.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Taylor. Now, how often do you get referrals? Because you spoke about the process.
Yes.
How often do you get referrals from the schools, and what kind of issues are these students dealing with, and the ages?
Okay, we get referrals basically throughout the entire school year, based on the needs that each classroom teacher, guidance counselor, administrator recognizes the need for a child to be assessed for academics, behavioral, or whatever their issues are. They would send a referral in, as well as we get referrals from other agencies. Now, with that being said, we want to stress that we do not take, unfortunately, referrals from parents. And this is done primarily because sometimes when a parent wants to have their child assessed, the information that is gleaned does not get back to the necessary agencies or persons that need to assist this child. So with that being said, we then receive referrals from parents, teachers, and administrators. The age that comes in are all school age children, grades level 1 to 12. And some of the issues that come in are from academic to behavioral, social, emotional, ADHD, autism, depression, anxiety, self-esteem, anything that can impede their academic performance, that is looked at and dealt with and try to get the child to their academic potential.
And with the onset of COVID-19, like I mentioned earlier, I'm sure you've probably seen more developments in mental challenges. Tell me about that.
For most parents, I think now that the children are in the home and they have to deal with their child directly, most of them are seeing the struggles with the inattentiveness. So we have a lot of parents that would call or try to get referral for their child to be assessed. So you'll have parents saying, oh, my child is not doing well, or is not focused, or can't do the work, or struggling. My child is getting frustrated easily or becoming angry. Because the virtual school doesn't work for everyone. Some children like that in classroom and that connection. And so it is even a struggle for the child trying to adjust to the virtual classroom within themselves. So a lot of that tend to be the issue. Also, we've had where young teenagers or adolescents are struggling and they don't have that social connection. So there again, you've had students with suicidal ideations because they cannot cope with the changes that come with the virtual classroom. Now, on the flip side of it, because in mental health, you have also the healthy part of it. You have those students who adjusted very well to the virtual classroom, and they find that more appealing. But on the other hand, like I said earlier, you have those that are struggling and can't get their footing in, for lack of a better word, into the classroom.
Wow. Any one of you ladies would like to add to that? What's your experience been like?
Yes, and to add on to that, with the pandemic, mental health is now seen, or it's now more recognized. A lot of these signs and symptoms weren't there, but because we were so busy dealing with our normal lives, that's working, schooling, going out, everything that makes us us, it's like we turned a blind eye to a lot of things. But now that the pandemic happened, and it more so much caused us, it actually caused us to stop and focus on, the people around us, in our close-knitted, in our home setting. So a lot of times now persons are realizing that, hey, okay, something is not right, and I didn't realize this before, but it's like, now what's going on? Why are you more so much being isolative? Why are you withdrawing yourself? Why aren't you eating? Why are you saying certain things? During pre-pandemic, persons would have never, caught on to that. But now the pandemic made those things now more recognized, and it actually shined a spotlight more so much now on mental health and the importance of mental health and mental wellness.
Yes, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with, and you can imagine what we feel, and you can just imagine what our children feel with all of the transitions and major adjustments.
Yes.
Life has been turned upside down, virtually upside down.
Yes.
We've come to our first break. Thank you so much. Your contributions have been perfect so far. When we come back, we'll finish this discussion. We'll continue this discussion, rather, with our school psychologist. Stay with us.
COVID-19 has forced students around the world, including the Bahamas, to continue their studies via online platforms. Here are some tips to help you successfully navigate through this new way of learning. You should prepare for your online classes just as if you were attending a face-to-face class on your school's campus. So be on time. Wake up early and log on to the virtual platform at least 5 minutes before the start of your class. Set up a space that is dedicated to being used as a daily learning environment. This will help you to establish a routine. Your space can be at your dining room table, a library, or your church hall. It just needs to be a quiet place that is conducive to studying. Be prepared. Make sure your computer or tablet is fully charged and your camera is on. Use headphones, especially if you are in a shared space. Dress in appropriate clothing. Sit up straight. Remember, you will be in camera view. Mute your audio when your teacher is speaking. Be focused, be attentive, and actively participate. Before speaking, raise your hands, then type your questions in the chat box. Avoid distractions, and remember to always be respectful, kind, and considerate. Your teachers will be there to assist, and you will make online friends and create virtual study groups. Online study may be new, but with dedication and persistence, you will achieve your goals.
Thank you so much. Welcome back to Ed Table Talk and Plugs. We're speaking with school psychologist Ms. Raquel Hutchinson, Jewel Taylor, and Mrs. Antoinette Deveaux on a very timely topic, students' mental health. Ladies, before the break, we were talking about the gravity of the situation when it comes to mental challenges, especially now with the backdrop of COVID-19 and all the challenges that come with that. How serious should we take this issue, this topic of the mental health of students? Because I don't think we take it serious enough. How serious should we be?
This is of a paramount importance because once it's left neglected, it can balloon into something that needs not be. So once we can get a handle on it, like my colleague said earlier, a lot of things have been magnified now with COVID-19 being in a more condensed environment where things are more recognizable and more seen. We can now focus on, wait a minute, my child usually, their academic footprints show that they've been a very good student all along, and now they're not performing well. What's going on? I need to speak with maybe the classroom teacher to see if their performance has declined because of this pandemic, because we have kinesthetic, audio, and visual learners. When they're placed in an environment where if they're a visual child, you're giving them auditory information, it's a disconnect. So we need to now focus on, how do I help my child? How do I get them where I need them to be? So with that being said, a lot of it needs to be focused. Parents need to liaise with teachers, guidance counselors to understand what's happening with my child.
And with that said, what are the signs that parents should look for?
Signs that parents should look for in terms of if my child is withdrawn, if my child is not performing, again, like I said, at their academic level that I'm familiar with or I'm, regularly seeing, they're now declining. if my child social interaction is limited, they are now doing things that seem out of sorts. They have behavioral outbursts, temper tantrums. They are showing signs that they're sleeping more than they normally should. These are things that would trigger us to go further and say, okay, we need now to go a little deeper with this.
Or any adverse experience that affects the child's daily functioning that you are accustomed to before. So, like my colleague has mentioned, if the child started to sleep more than he or she normally would have, or sleep less, because it can be either or depending, or my child eating more than he or she normally would, or eating less, or they have some emotional numbness. And when we talk about emotional numbness, meaning that they don't feel anything, they don't express anything, they don't show if they're sad or if they are afraid, or it can be hypersensitive or they could be hyposensitive. They could anything could trigger them off for no reason, withdrawal, and don't want to be bothered or do anything that you ask them to do.
Wow. So going back to the academic part of it, when do you determine that a child is not really lazy? Because sometimes, as a parent, you say, "Girl, boy, do your work, finish your work. What's the problem? What's the matter with you?" When do we determine that this child, or how do we determine that this child is not just plain out lazy, but as a matter of fact, the child is struggling with some mental issues or some emotional issues? How do we determine that as a parent?
So what I would say, especially how do we determine this? Because just like you said, that could be like my child, lazy or anything of that nature. But look at it as, clinically or not clinically, but significantly impacting the child from a holistic perspective. Is this impacting more so much his schoolwork? Can he or she actually understand, comprehend, or is he just saying like, I don't want to do this? Is this impacting, more so much how he interacts within the home with family, brothers, friends, sisters, cousins? How is he like in the community? Is he or she now giving up on fun activities that he used to do before? Let's then take it back, let's then take it further, like if he or she then works, is this now affecting his ability to work wherever they work, whether it's in the grocery shop or doing little things? Is it now impacting them looking at it from a holistic perspective? And then also too, if the behaviors or cognition is more so much stemming away from what you normally know your child to be, like Ms. Hutchinson said, if I realize that, hey, okay, wait, something going on, I can't really put my hand on it, but it's more so much of, this ain't how my child is. I know he talks, I know he eats, I know he likes to go with friends, even if on Saturday or Sunday, I know he likes to do all these other things, but then now I realizing that, okay, he's in his room, doesn't want to talk to nobody, isn't eating, I'm hearing, what he's saying, he's sounding more hopeless, helpless, if he's sleeping too much or isn't sleeping at all, he is now worrying a lot, and if he is speaking more so much in a tense of, well, I'm not going to be here in the future. So all of those are definitely signs which you would really have to look at. And the thing about this now, it's like you wouldn't be, or you shouldn't more so much turn a blind eye to it. So if you realize it, you'll be like, okay, hold on, wait, something going on, I need to address this head on. Even if I don't understand it, I need to address it, because what we all fail to realize sometimes is that we go through these things as adults. We have our sadness, our hurt, things go on, but kids also feel the exact same things. And the difference is that sometimes they don't know how to verbalize it, so they show it out in behavior.
Right. Thank you so much. There's just a wealth of knowledge and information in all of you ladies. I'm learning a lot, even as a parent myself. But we have come to our second break and final break. When we return, we will be joined by a teacher from the S.C. McPherson Junior High School who will bring her experience into the conversation. We'll be right back.
It's a red letter day here at the Moores Island All-Age School. Moores Island, a community of 1,000, is still rebuilding following Hurricane Dorian. And in fact, here at the school, from years prior to Dorian, they've been asking for one thing, a generator. They say when electricity goes off on this island, it does not only go off for a few hours, but in fact, they claim for many days. Well, today, a generous donor, along with the Rotary Club, donated a generator. Rotary's organizer, Ken Strawn.
The Rotary Bahamas Disaster Relief and the Rotary Clubs of the Bahamas is pleased today to make this contribution in collaboration with the TK Foundation of this equipment that will serve not only the school but the community, as this institution serves as a hurricane shelter.
The TK Foundation funded the 45 kilowatt diesel generator that includes a 285-gallon reserve tank. The $50,000 gift was installed gratis by the Defense Force. Rotary also donated a Canon Copy Center, hundreds of books, and data to the Moores Island All-Age School, alma mater of Olympic champion Stephen Gardner. The Ministry of Education's District Superintendent Dominique Russell highlighted other Rotary gifts to Abaco.
And I think I sent Mr. Strawn a spreadsheet of $700,000 worth of things, and I didn't do it on my own. I sent to my principals and I said to them, what do you need? This isn't about the district superintendent, this is about the children of Abaco.
Rotary, in partnership with the Defense Force and locals paid by Rotary, are repairing 31 homes on Moores Island.
The Rotary Club has made us feel very, very special indeed.
So indeed, this is a red letter day for the people here at Moores Island, and in particular, the staff, students, and administrators at the Moores Island All-Age School. This partnership took many partners, many stakeholders, but this is especially a proud moment in how things can work when we work together. In particular, the staff here, thanks to Royal Bahamas Defense Force. This is a win-win for Moores Island School, for Moores Island, for Abaco, and for the entire Bahamas.
Welcome back to our very final segment of Ed Table Talk as we conclude this discussion on students' mental health with school psychologist Joelle Taylor, Raquel Hutchinson, and also joining us now, I am so elated, is a teacher at the S.C. McPherson Junior High School, Miss Rujean Hart. Welcome, Ms. Hart.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Same here. Ms. Hart, let's begin with you. What age level do you teach, and how long were you teaching?
I teach students between the ages of 10 to 16, and my confession is that I am 25 years old, so I have not been in the system too long.
Oh wow, so we'll read between the lines, times that by 2? Gotcha. All right, and from your experience, we're talking about the issue of students and their mental challenges. It may affect their academic performance, and like I told you in our previous conversation, you came highly recommended because you're one of those teachers with a little extra intuition and discernment. So from your experience, just tell me about the signs that you see on a regular basis that can tell you that this student has a mental challenge. I need to take a step back. I need to intervene here.
Definitely there are some key factors. The first being a change in mood, then a change in behavior, and then of course a change in appearance. So you'll find a child who's happy suddenly appears sad, or one who's talkative become quiet, or somebody who's interested lose interest, and then the quality of the work is impacted. And of course, the child may become antisocial. And a child who was well kept, neat, clean, now has a totally different appearance. And of course, there are some students who would even integrate it in their work and produce it in their assignments. And so those are key factors that would alert me that my child, my student, is now having some mental challenge.
Mm-hmm. And when you see those signs, what do you do to accommodate those differences or those challenges?
My first trigger, of course, is my mantra, and something I say to myself. And I begin by saying, "Dear teacher, you have to reach her. Her clouds are dark today. You have to help her see shades of gray." And then I become that child's voice. I help them to put into words what they're feeling and what they're going through. Then I become that child's ears, and I simply listen. I become that child's sponge, and I begin to soak up that child's emotions. Then I become that child's cheerleader and try to infect them, impact them with positivity. And of course, if that does not produce the results I desire, then I refer that child to guidance, because I realize now they need a little more than I can offer as a classroom teacher. And intervention must be sought on so many levels that not only includes the child, but also includes the family.
Wow. And as you were talking, I mean, you were lifting my spirits. you changed my mood. Let's look at students' academic performance, because you touched on that. Our school psychologists, they alluded to that earlier. How drastic of a change have you seen? Because you may have a student who is a high flyer, and how much of a difference does it make, or how much of an impact is it, the mental challenges on their academic performance?
For some students, that impact is drastic. They can move from an A straight to an F. But I will also tell you that some students who are experiencing mental challenges are able to maintain their grades. It's absolutely amazing.
Wow.
So it varies from child to child, and we want to be careful that we don't always put the child under the same umbrella, because their experiences will be different, their backgrounds are different, the way they respond to things are different, their ability to cope, different. And so that is amazing when it comes to the child. Some negatively impacted, some not impacted at all.
And we're running out of time, but I just want to squeeze just about 2 more questions in there. When we look at parents, sometimes parents may be in denial. Okay, my child doesn't have a problem. If you approach, as a psychologist, you approach a parent and say, well, this is the issue that Johnny has. How receptive are they, and how critical is their role in their child's progress?
Okay, for the most part, my experience has been most of my parents tend to take on the ideology of, it's my fault that my child has an issue. No, you have the issue. They're not taking on ownership of it, whereas they need to be hands-on to help the child get the needs, the necessary help that they need. But we do have some that are receptive and say, whatever it is that my child needs, I'm hands-on, I'm there. Tell me what I need to do, where I need to go, what I need to purchase, or who I need to help find to help my child. So I would say it's a 60-40 percentage in terms of acceptance versus denial.
There are some parents who would automatically be bombarded with fear and don't know what to do. There are some who are still in denial and they don't believe it's happening to their child. And then there are some who are receptive. And I want to let you know that I think the communication is key. And sometimes we've not been taught to do that. We don't know how to do that.
Yes.
And again, that is one of the key components, I think, when it comes to mental health, an inability to express ourselves, an inability to deal with the stress level, an inability to cope, and an inability to find help. And of course, it's something I keep reminding my students of, and it's something I always encourage them to say. When I look in the mirror, I like what I see. The person looking back just happens to be me. And so that is something I tell them to practice all the time. Because if you believe in you, you can get through anything.
Wow, what a great note to end on. Thank you so much, ladies. It has certainly been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for your contributions to this most relevant discussion. And it's important that we do everything in our power to protect the minds of our young people, the minds of the future. And to you, our viewers, if you would like to receive updates on what's happening at the Ministry of Education, visit our website or Facebook page, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and other social media platforms. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Adama Williams. Join us next time for another edition of Ed Table Talk Unplugged.